So here's the state of our country right now. Take a look at this. This is from Forbes. According to T.I., Kanye West is, quote, absolutely serious about running for president, but not until after a potential second Trump term. You know, I don't doubt him at all. I don't doubt T.I. for a second here. I think Kanye West really wants to become president. And, you know, Corin had mentioned this on the podcast, and I really had to stop and go, oh, shit. I think there's truth in that. And that's a scary thought because my initial reaction would be to totally laugh him off. But, I mean, a lot of people laughed off Trump. Now, to be fair, I really wasn't one of those people. In fact, I was warning people from a mile away when everybody else was like, oh, Hillary's going to win. I was like, don't be so sure. Don't be so sure. With Kanye, I want to laugh him off, but can you really laugh him off? So, he wants to be president. You know, he's going to wait until at least 2024, but he wants to be president. Man, it's scary. That's a scary scenario, in my opinion. So take a look at, I want to give you a little passage here from the piece. This is what T.I. says, and this is, again, the main word that comes to mind is scary. They stepped outside the recording booth, and T.I. asked West to explain the motivation behind his support of Trump. West insisted he was just acting as a free thinker. When T.I. pushed him for an answer on what he really meant by that, they ended up talking for several hours. T.I. asked the question he says he asked all Trump supporters, "Make America great again, like when?" Quote, his thought is, the boom of the industrial era, recalls T.I. I'm like, bro, you know you're black, right? You know what we were doing during the boom of the industrial era. Then West launched into a monologue on his respect for entrepreneurs like Henry Ford and Walt Disney. When T.I. suggested that neither would be interested in working with someone who looked like him and pushed West on issues like Trump's travel ban, to which West reportedly replied, "What's the travel ban?" The conversation continued for 2 more hours before veering back into music. What's the travel ban? What's the travel ban? You know, ignorance is not virtuous. It's not virtuous, but some are acting like it indeed is. So let's put that point aside for a second. To bring up the industrial era. So, okay, to be fair to Kanye, at least he had an answer on that particular, hey, what era do you really want to go back to? Oh, the industrial era. Now, T.I.'s response is good, which is like, you do know we were second-class citizens back then, right? So that's a good point. Very good point. But let me respond to a different aspect of the industrial era point. You're looking back through rose-colored glasses. Because we had no labor protections, no environmental protections at that time. So you literally had tenement housing at that time. You had children working in factories and oftentimes risking their lives at that time. And you had a lot of wealth creation, but you also had rampant income and wealth inequality. Not too dissimilar from what's going on right now. But back then it was even worse because you didn't have almost any regulations of the business place at all. No minimum wage laws back then. So it'd be one thing if he said the golden age of economic expansion, because that's different. That's post-World War II. And by the way, still shitty for minorities at that time, to be perfectly clear. But you did have high unionization rates, which led to a strong middle class. When you go back to the industrial era, you did not have high unionization rates. You had New Deal programs in effect and working very well. Again, leaving minorities behind, which was horrendous. But if you included minorities in that, that would have been awesome. Having the New Deal programs in place, having high unionization rates. So if he mentioned that, okay, that's one thing. But then that wouldn't lead you to right-wing politics. And I mean, honestly, Kanye's Trump support makes sense if he really loves the industrial era because, okay, well, super low taxes on the rich and deregulation was kind of a key point in that era. And that's exactly what Trump is ushering in. But that's not for the little guy. Like, he goes on, Kanye does talk about, oh, I care about love. I just want to spread love. That's what I want to do. Well, that's not an ideology that that fosters love. That's an ideology that fosters economic servitude. That fosters, falling in line behind your overlord boss who gets to control every aspect of your life. So it's just, I think he's just a contrarian. I made this point again in the podcast with Corin. Because whenever anybody's like, hey man, why are you doing this thing that you're not supposed to do? He's like, I'm a free thinker. So in other words, it's just, okay, I'm going to do the opposite of what I think the majority is. Now, I get it. He's in Hollywood. Hollywood's packed full of elitist, liberal douchebags. I get it, and I agree 100%. But, like, to have a knee-jerk reaction of, like, I'm going in the other direction now, and I'm a free thinker because I disagree with you in a reactionary way. That's not a free thinker. That's kind of dumb. And, look, he's obviously not thought through these things in a very serious way. And to get back to the point of the travel ban, I mean, dude, that's one of those stories that was even big in the news. Like, I give mainstream media a lot of shit because I feel like they ignore many very important stories. Like, I wouldn't fault Kanye for not knowing about the multiple emoluments cases against Trump where his own businesses are violating the Constitution and he's being corrupt and being bought off by foreign governments. But I wouldn't expect him to know about that because it's not really covered, so you can't really blame him because he probably is not heavy into reading the news. But to not even know about the fucking travel ban, like, that was big news for well over a week, where it was like the main headline, and you didn't even know the travel ban. Dude, you're not a genius. You're not on some next level shit. You're not a free thinker. Actually, the funny thing is, he's the opposite. He's incredibly predictable. Like, he's super predictable. Oh, what's the majority? Well, now, in the circles I run in, the majority is liberal. Well, now make America great again, bro. That's what I'm talking about. And he even went as far as just to parrot this stupid, and we covered the tweet and I broke it down. We don't need to get into it too much now, but he was talking about, it's about bringing jobs back to America. Kanye, there's been 93,000 jobs outsourced under Trump. All of his campaign rhetoric about keeping jobs in the country and all that didn't work. Well, even the carrier jobs. Remember when he made a big deal about saving the carrier jobs? Those jobs were outsourced anyway. And they hosed the taxpayers and got corporate welfare, robbed the taxpayers, moved towards automation anyway, and outsourced the jobs. So it's a ruse. It's not real. But he's just like a standard MAGA character now, but he thinks like, I'm a genius and a free thinker. Not really. You're kind of embarrassing.